Why did my fudge turn out grainy? Have you ever taken a bite of your homemade fudge only to find it grainy instead of smooth? You are not alone. Many home cooks in the 1950s faced the same challenge. Fudge was a beloved treat during that time, often made for gatherings and special occasions. Let's break down why your fudge might have turned out grainy and how to avoid this in the future. One common reason for grainy fudge is sugar crystallization. For fudge to have that creamy texture, the sugar needs to dissolve completely and remains dissolved as it cools. If you stir the mixture too vigorously or scrape the sides of the pan while cooking, you can accidentally introduce sugar crystals back into the mix. A tip from the 1950s is to stir gently and use a clean pastry brush dipped in water to wipe down the sides of the pan. This helps keep those pesky crystals at bay. Another factor is cooking time and temperature. Fudge needs to reach the softball stage, which is between 230 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. If the sugar syrup does not reach this stage, it can cause the sugar to recrystallize as it cools. Vintage recipes often suggested dropping a bit of syrup into ice water to see if it forms a soft ball. If it does not, your fudge may not turn out as expected. Cooling and beating the fudge at the right time is also important. In the 1950s, recipes advised letting the fudge cool until it was lukewarm before beating. If you beat it too soon or too hard, you can introduce air and cause premature crystallization. On the flip side, if you do not beat it enough, you may end up with a gritty texture. The goal is to beat it by hand until it loses its gloss and thickens slightly. This can take some practice to get just right. Ingredient ratios can also play a role in the texture of your fudge. Corn syrup was a common ingredient in many mid-century fudge recipes because it helps prevent sugar crystallization. If you skip it or change the proportions of butter or milk, you might end up with a less stable mixture. Recipes that call for Karo syrup, for example, emphasize precise measurements to achieve that velvety consistency. If your fudge does turn grainy, do not worry. There are practical fixes that home cooks in the 1950s used. You can gently reheat the mixture with a splash of milk or cream and then rebeat it to restore smoothness. Storing your fudge in a cool, dark place, like a vintage tin lined with parchment, can also help maintain its texture. For those of you trying to recreate 1950s fudge today, a grainy texture might even feel nostalgic. Many homemakers back then viewed imperfect batches as part of the process. They often repurposed grainy fudge as toppings for ice cream or fillings for cakes. The act of sharing fudge, whether glossy or grainy, was a cherished tradition that highlighted the warmth and resourcefulness of the time. Making smooth fudge requires patience and attention to detail, just like it did in the 1950s. By following the techniques of that era, careful temperature control, gentle stirring, and trusting the process, you can master the art of creating silky, old-fashioned fudge.